Hi friends, my name is Brooke and I am the artist and creator behind BB Henry Art. I am here today to introduce you guys to my new YouTube series. It is a free class series that I'll be hosting here on YouTube, and I'll be publishing videos 2 times a week. So I wanted to create a journal that I could work through beginning to end, taking you guys along for every step of the way so that you guys could see how I worked in one of my embellished handmade art journals. I have a lot of people that always love these journals, but they ask, well, how do you use them? How do you work in them? So I wanted to show you, take you along for the process, and give you the opportunity to work in one as well. So I opened up pre-orders, and I had a lot of you guys purchase a journal that is similar to the one I'll be working in, so you can play along page by page with me. So I am so excited. If you missed out on that first round of pre-orders, I'm having a lot of people that are just finding out about it. Make sure that you're on my email waitlist. The link will be down in the description below, and then you can get on in that next round. I'm hoping to open it in the next few weeks, but stay tuned for more information. So even if you don't get started right away when I start publishing the videos, that's okay. They will be available as long as YouTube is around. They'll be up and available. So you can watch at your own leisure, watch as many times as you'd like, and I feel like that just creates a better environment for everybody, that you can watch it as you wish. We all have different times that we're available. If you work during the week or whatnot, you can wait and watch both those videos on the weekend and then start playing. So at first I was just going to work through one journal beginning to end and show you guys how that works. But after making so many journals, I did decide to make another one for myself, and I think I will be working through 2 journals as we go along. So during the week, I'll post a part 1 and a part 2, and this will give you guys a more complete look, I guess, of how you can use a journal, that even though the page may look similar to everybody else's to start out with, you can take your own inspiration and run with it, and they can look 2 completely different ways. So I want to emphasize that these videos are not a step-by-step strict guide. They are more so I can show you what my thought process is behind when I create, how to get in the right headspace, and go from there. So I don't believe in strict guidelines, but rather we can just be a source of inspiration to each other. And going off of that, whenever you share work on social media, which I would love for you to do, I want to see what you're doing in your play along journal. I want to see how you're taking the different techniques that I show. Please use the hashtag #BBHenryPlayAlong. I'll write that down here, and it will be down in the description below as well. That way I can follow along with what you're doing, but then also we can all see each other's work. You can go ahead and follow that hashtag over on Instagram. That's probably the best place. So I want to encourage all of you to just show up as you are. We're all at different skill levels, but I think that we can all learn from each other, no matter how advanced you are or beginner, because we all think about how to do things in different ways, which I think is the great thing about art, is there's no one right way to do things, but rather through experimentation, we can find what works for us. We can find our unique art styles and go from there. So we all have different skill levels, but we also have different amounts of supplies, and I am guilty of collecting supplies, so I tend to have quite a few different things. But please don't feel like just because I use it in the video, you have to go buy it. Now, if you're wanting an excuse to go buy something, I'm happy to be your reason. But don't feel like you can't play along if you don't have supplies. So I'll be going through the supplies, especially the basic supplies that I will be using at the end of this video. And if you are just starting out, you're looking to get, just a handful of things, I will showcase which things I would suggest the most purchasing, and then you can go from there. You can start building up and seeing what you like working with, what you don't like working with, instead of just going out and blindly buying a bunch of random things that you may or may not use. So I never suggest products that I haven't used myself or that I love. So I'm not trying to sell you anything or get you to buy a bunch of stuff, but rather just sharing with you what I like to use. Make sure you're on my email list. They're the first to be notified of different things. I send out freebies and all of that good stuff as well. And if you did miss out on the first round of pre-orders for the journal, make sure to sign up for that journal waitlist linked down below. And then you can be notified when I do put more of those available. All right, so let's turn this thing around and go over some of those supplies. All right, let's get started talking about supplies. First off, these are the 2 journals that I'll be working in. As you can see, this one is already done. He is full on chunky, and the nice thing about the journal that I designed with the closure is it can really hold a lot of bulk and still look really cute. So I don't shy away from texture when I work, and so that a lot of times adds dimension, but in this journal it will hold it just fine. So this is the second journal I'm working in, and I'll do a flip through of that at the end so you can kind of see what we're working with. Okay, so let's talk about some of the other supplies. Let's start out with, if you're just starting out and you don't have very many art supplies, what I suggest maybe that you start out with. First off, just a pencil would be great. I love these black wing pencils, but the price tag on them, they are kind of expensive. So if you're just starting out, don't feel like that's a necessity. Even if you're an advanced creator, don't feel like that's a necessity. But I do enjoy them, and I had bought in a box for a present for my husband, and then he didn't really end up using them, so I confiscated those and I started using them myself. So a pencil. Next up, we have a black pen. These are 3 of my favorite pens. For a couple different reasons. These 2 are both waterproof once dry. This one is very bold, and this one typically writes pretty smooth, and then I just like the way that this one feels. It's a little bit thinner, but any black pen will work. Next up, we have a Stabilo All pencil. Now, if you don't know what this is a magic tool. So you can use it wet or dry. I often will either dip it directly in the water cup and do marks with that, or I will work with it dry and then with a wet paintbrush come back to it. So I love a Stabilo All, and right along those lines are the Stabilo Woodies. Now, you probably don't need both, maybe one or the other if you're just beginning. The nice thing about the Stabilo Woodies is you can buy them individually. So at your specialty art stores like Blick or Jerry's Artorama, I believe that they sell them individually. Online, I think they sell some of the colors individually as well. So you can check that out. I do have a set, I don't know if it's 12 or 18, and of course you always will use some colors more than others. If you're just getting one, for me, black is the one that I would choose. I love the grungy feel of it. Okay, so next up for our most used supplies, we have a glue stick. I have 2 different sizes here. Yoo-Hoo is my favorite brand of glue stick, but again, work with what you have. I also use Elmer's glue sticks for some stuff. Just your basic dollar store glue sticks will work great. If you've been looking for a really nice glue stick and you haven't been able to find one, try out the Yoo-Hoo, see what you think. I use different sizes just depending on the size of thing that I'm gluing. Okay, next up, you'll want a few paintbrushes. I just grabbed, these tend to be the ones that I grab from my stash over and over, and part of that is I like the brand, and part is the size. So even if you have just little cheapy ones like that you've got in a bundle, start with those. Those will be great, and then you also won't feel too precious about them if they get ruined. It's really not a big deal. So this is one of my most used. Simply Simons is the brand of this, and they really aren't that expensive as far as paintbrushes go. I mean, paintbrushes can get really quite pricey. I think these are just a couple bucks each, which again, if you're just starting out, you may not want to spend that, but I like that the way that they work, and I use this one a lot when I am working with my Stabilo All or moving that wet paint around. This is the same thing, but in a smaller size. The other brand that I've come to really like is this, it's from Princeton, and it's the Select Artist, and these ones are the oval mop. 3 different sizes here. So I have a couple different ones, but honestly, these 2 brands are the ones I keep coming back to, but I have so many other ones that have just come in sets or whatnot, and those work just fine as well. Okay, more basics. Let me put these aside. This is one of the newer supplies that I've started using in the past year, and it has quickly become one of my favorite. It is my substitute for a white pen. So white pens can be quite fickle to begin with, but especially when you're marking over textured surfaces or acrylic paints or that. So this is actually a fluid correction pen, but it goes over pretty much everything, dries really quick, and leaves a fun texture when you're done with it. So highly suggest one of those. Next up is some washi tapes. Now, most of us already have washi tapes on hand, so dig into that stash, start using them. As you can tell, black and white are definitely my favorite. I use them in most of my pages. A couple of my favorite places to get those is Wow Studios. She creates gorgeous washi tapes here, but she is limited edition when she releases them, so you kind of have to jump on it when you see it. The other place, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, Amazon, any of those, you can get fun washi tapes as well. And I recently just found this one. It's from Scotch Tape, actually, at the Expressions, and I think that's a good quality as well. So you kind of just have to jump on those when you see them and pick them up. I like to use them in with my collages when I am doing collage work. Okay, moving on. That's basically it for the stuff I would really suggest having on hand, but let's go into some more of my favorites. So gesso is always a good option. Black gesso is probably my favorite because it is so opaque and dries really quickly. Use that a lot. And white gesso. So these are just the brands I tend to buy, but go with what works for you. And in fact, the black and the white, I pretty much use those in lieu of black and white paint. I just stick with the gesso. Next up is we have Posca pens. I started out, when I started buying Posca pens, just buying a couple different ones of the white and black, some different tip sizes. So you can tell that one makes a little bit fatter of a mark, and then you can expand into more colors. But honestly, still, the black and white are what I use the most. Going along with that these are the solid markers, and it's a solidified paint marker. So how it is different than these is this is a liquid paint on the inside, but this is a solidified paint. So they look like that. They're kind of a fat tip, but you can do nice big bold marks with them, and they dry completely waterproof and resistant, I would say. But those are on the pricier end of things, so do with that what you will. I enjoy a mini stapler. This is the Tim Holtz one. You can pretty much get it in any of your craft stores. And then this is just a specialty one that I have. I have that linked in my Amazon account too. Honestly, it doesn't work any better than this one, but I love the look of it, and so I had to have it, of course. So don't feel like you need to go out and buy this one because it does something special over this one. It doesn't. I just liked the look. Next up, to apply your paint, besides paintbrushes, I do enjoy these Catalyst tools. They are from Princeton as well. These are the sizes I use probably the most. But if you go to the dollar store and get kind of a hard rubber spatula, that can be a good substitute as well. And we have China markers, or I know some people call them grease markers. It's like a wax colored pencil almost of sorts, and those do well. I use the black a lot more than the white, I would say. those mark over pretty much anything, and they are water resistant, so not water soluble. That's the big thing that you have to keep an eye on, whether a supply is water resistant or water soluble, and I love both. I have different uses for both. Next up is these Neo Color 2s. I love them, and when I bought them, I bought, the biggest set that I could find, because that's just who I am. But if you're in realistic standards, I would just pick the colors that you want the most, or stick to a smaller set, because you can buy them individually as well at your specialized art stores. So think about that, maybe getting just a few in the colors that you use the most. Another supply that I don't use it all the time, but when I do use it, I really like the way that it looks, is these fine liners. So they come in a couple different styles, but what it is this one is just Sumi ink, and then this one is white acrylic ink mixed with airbrush medium, and you can use it to write. The bad thing, or the downside, I would say, is that it takes a really long time to dry. So working inside of a notebook, you'll want to plan to keep that page open for a while to let it dry. So I used to use this one all the time for white. I have kind of started using this more just because it dries so quick and I can be pretty impatient at times. Okay, so, good pair of scissors. Love these Tim Holtz scissors. Again, any big craft store will have these. They have a nice serrated edge, which I really like, but any good old pair of scissors is just fine. Plus, I tear a lot of my papers, so keep that in mind as well. So let's talk about a few of the supplies. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, I'm a little disorganized today. Stencils. I just picked a few of my favorites. Let's see, these 3 are from Donna Downey. She designed them, and they are 3 of my all-time favorites, I think. And the other place I really like to get stencils is from Stencil Girl. I love the quality of their stencils, and they last, and you can keep reusing them. So go check them out as well. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of the things that I sell in my shop that I like using when it comes to creating art. So I make these messy snippet rolls. Right now there's only 1 or 2 left in my shop, but I hope to replenish those soon. I like to cut off a piece, and you can use it as a art tag, or you can use it to sew on to your cover, or a lot of different ways. So I'll show you a couple different ways that I like to use them in these videos. This is another example of a snippet roll. Next up, we have some stickers that I have designed. A couple different colorways. I'll be adding more soon, but that's a really fun and easy way to get some color and design on your page. And I think lastly, again, there's lots of things I probably missed here, but I will be linking products as I go along, is the digital downloads and printed papers that I have available. So I've taken these from my own artwork, scanned them in at a high quality, and this is what they then look like printed out. So you have the option of buying them as a digital download to take and print at home, but if you don't have a nice printer, I did not have a nice printer that I could do it for years, and you can have me print them out for you, and I will send them to you. Alright, so lastly, I'm going to show you a flip through of this journal, and if you have any questions, just let me know down in the comments, and I cannot wait to get this series started and start playing along with all of you.